The first thing to talk about, Rob, is Cam Newton staking his claim. He wants back in the NFL.
Did you wake him in, everybody? Why am I feel like
yeah,
you
I
didn't?
did.
Okay.
I did. He wants back in the NFL, and here's what he had to say. He's going to be, was it today he worked out? Yeah, today he worked out at Auburn's pro day, but here he is talking about it.
Tell me how these randoms keep getting jobs. Don't worry about it. I'm going to show you. I can't wait to show you.
I'm seeing a lot of people trolling the idea, and it's official. I will be throwing at Auburn's pro day Tuesday. Ain't 32 better than me, you did.
Rob G, have you heard anything about the pro day? What's been out there? Anything?
Nothing as of yet.
Okay. Rob, you want first stab at it? Because I got some stuff to say.
Go ahead. You can say it.
Look, Cam is done. Now, could he play a minor role with the team? Sure. Nick Wright on First Things First today, obviously Mr. Kansas City Chiefs fan. He came out with what do I think could be a good idea? He said, look, Cam could be the backup quarterback there. And as you know, Rob, they don't use Mahomes anymore on quarterback sneaks. Remember, he got hurt a few years ago doing one. So you could bring him in on goal line, you bring him in to sneak and things like that. Okay, fine. And if Mahomes, God forbid, gets hurt, you can find worse backups than Cam Newton. But outside of something like that, Rob, I'm sorry. And I get where Cam's coming from because he's not even 34 years old yet. He'll be 34 in May. He's looking at Tom Brady play till he's 45. He's looking at Aaron Rodgers, who's about to turn 40 in December. And obviously he's about to get, a new team with the Jets. He's looking at these guys playing longer. Drew Brees played till 42 or something like that. And Cam, Rob, physically looks great. I wouldn't be surprised if he was great at today's pro day. Because he looks the part. And remember, he looked the part a couple of years ago. He took a year or so to get himself healthy, get his body right, and his body was right. But he just can't produce at a high level anymore. Certainly not on anything remotely close to a consistent basis. Rob, the GOAT, gave him a chance. Bill Belichick loved him. Loved him so much in all of New England that he was named the captain almost immediately. That team in 2020, Rob, in New England, had a 7th-ranked defense in the league in terms of points allowed. And yet and still, they went 7-8 with Cam starting. And Rob, Cam had 8 touchdown passes, 8 in 15 games. We talked about Daniel Jones with 15 in 16 games. He had 8 in 15 games and 10 interceptions. That doesn't work. Then the next year he gets beat out by the rookie Mac Jones. Then he goes to Carolina, his former team. I'm sure they wanted him to do well. Well, Rob, they went 0-5 in the games Cam started. They were 5-7, nothing to celebrate, but still 5-7 when other guys started. Sam Darnold, who didn't play well. P.J. Walker, who didn't play well, but they still were able to go 5-7 with those guys. Cam, 0-5, completed 54% of his passes, 4 touchdowns, 5 picks in 5 games. This isn't like a few years ago. Remember a few years ago, I think we both thought Cam's not getting the shot that he deserves. Not that we expected, at least me, I didn't expect huge things from him, but I thought he should get a shot. But could he be a backup? Yeah, I think he's good enough to be a backup somewhere. The thing is, he is a celebrity to some degree, and sometimes you don't want your backup to be a celebrity, a lot of times, to be honest. And so I just don't think he has anything really left. Certainly not as a starter, Rob. So, that's my take on Cam.
Yeah, I don't have an issue if he wants to play and wants to be a backup. We've seen guys get these opportunities to stick around. The only guy that really sticks out to me the most, especially when you talk about a black quarterback, Chris, who was once a starter and gets a chance to have that role and stick around for a long time is Charlie Batch in Pittsburgh. Charlie Batch was a long time. He actually had back-to-back winning seasons. Did you know that with the Lions when he was the starting quarterback? Then the next year he went 0-12. The Lions went 0-12, and that was the end of his reign as starting quarterback.
He wasn't a long-time starter.
No.
He wasn't like Cam or anything.
No.
He started for a few years.
But I'm just saying, he wound up being a long-time backup. Right. And we've seen Josh McCown, Chris, 19 years. There's a lot of guys who have been able to stick around in the NFL who really weren't that great. And you're right. I mean, most of them don't have an MVP, and this is all about him. If he's willing to accept that he's a backup, because the idea is I might just need you for 2 or 3 games if my guy gets hurt to keep us afloat. And if you can do that, that's fine. But you're not going to be the starter. And that's really what it all comes down to, is about not being, if you accept that. No, and if he says I can't accept that, then you can't have him. Because that's the issue. Look, that's all I'm saying about. Yeah,
there are brothers getting backup roles. Now, Jacoby Brissett has been a backup. Josh Johnson, remember you saw him go in, and was it San Francisco this year? Went in briefly.
Who's the other one with
San Francisco? He's been a backup pretty much his whole career, and he's 36 years old. So there's some guys out there. Tyler Huntley, Pro Bowler.
Okay, but I know you're not saying
he is actually a Pro Bowler. I mean, but he's a backup. So I don't want to say it's a racial thing.
No, I'm just talking about long time. Right.
I think what it is, Rob, is you hit on the head. Is willing to accept it, and part of in my opinion, Rob, part of accepting it is not really drawing attention to yourself. I'm not saying you have to, run from the spotlight, but he's trying to get a job, so I get it. But I'm just saying, the backup quarterback doesn't need to be all out on social media doing a lot of things that bring attention to him. And, he's in the news and his teammates are being asked about something he said or did. And that part of accepting it is not being out there. And look, Cam is a colorful, charismatic personality. And that's great. And I think that'll benefit him when he really does want to move on, if he wants to move on to broadcasting or something like that, if he ever wants to. But I don't need that from my backup quarterback. I mean, I'm thinking of the backup quarterbacks in the league, Rob. Usually you're not thinking about them at all until the starter gets hurt.
No, I mean, that in a perfect world, that's what you would rather have, But you as a team, you're only as good as your backup quarterback, because if your guy goes down, it's important.
That's overstated.
No, it's important to have somebody who can come in.
But
no, it's important.
Most quarterbacks don't. I mean, quarterbacks generally play 15, 16, 17
Yeah, but
games.
there's injuries sometimes, and you might miss a few games.
You're only as good as your backup.
No, because if you lose your quarterback, for the most part, your season's over.
How good was Chad Henne?
I don't know. I remember him as
He's so-so. The Chiefs are excellent regardless of his ability. I mean, he was their backup last year. He came in, gave him a nice, couple quarters.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about. I'm talking about losing somebody for somebody.
If my backup ain't really good, I'm not going to be a good team.
No, I'm saying if your guy gets hurt, you got to have somebody who at least could hold it together for 3 or 4 games. That's all I'm talking about.
Okay, I'm just saying the way you said it was.
Yeah,
you're only as good as your backup quarterback.
Of course, the quarterback is the main thing. I'm not talking. I'm talking about if your main guy goes down.
Of course, if
you need somebody who can hold it together for 3 or 4 weeks. It can't be a guy who's no good. I mean, just to have just hold a clipboard and you can't play.
Well, no,
that's what I'm talking
anybody
about.
in the NFL got to have some talent.
Yeah, but there's a degree.
Giving away jobs.
Yeah, there's a degree. There's a lot of bad quarterbacks in the NFL. Starters.
But most backups, if they have to play the majority of the season, you're in trouble.
Of course, not the majority, but it could be a 3 or 4 game.
I just have an issue with your rule, your wording. You're only as good as your backup quarterback. That's not true.
Okay, in your opinion.